India, you've got a lot of taxes. You've got customs, you've got countervailing duties, you've got educational excess, and just so much taxation eating into the profit margins of these luxury brands. How profitable are these ventures then? Are they only here for the visibility? Are they here to actually end up making profits as well when it comes to a developing country like India, which is not that open to luxury as of right now?
Well, let's put it this way, brands like Cartier, they are into investing into the country, into the market. It all depends also on the franchise partner or the joint venture partner, how they negotiate. Like they make the brand or the company consume the tax.
Right.
So it's all about negotiation, and that's the reason a lot of people from India actually go to Dubai and London and Paris and shop from there and bring it back.
They're working on better price points and attractive prices in those countries vis-a-vis India.
Of course.
So Indian luxury market does get impacted because of these duties that we're seeing additionally, making the product much more expensive than what it is available in the rest of the world.
Well, not much more expensive. Like Indian duties are like 26%.
Right.
Not as bad as Brazil, which is 70%.
Correct.
But at the same time, like what we are negotiating with our brands, they are consuming their duties. Like they have to consume 26%.
Right.
Only then we can sell it to the Indian consumer.
Right.
The product has to be the same price
Right.
as Dubai, if not as Milan. Because Dubai is like 2.5 hours away. And people do prefer to take a weekend flight, have a good time, good meals, good stay, take the kids and shop and come back. And 90% of them don't even pay duties at the airport. So it makes a lot of difference.
When it comes to the target market of these high-end luxury brands, what is the consumer really looking at? Is it the status value, which is why he's buying? Is he buying because he's a connoisseur? Is he buying because he actually derives some sort of value out of the product he's paying a premium for? What is it?
Well, it's a mix of all. There are connoisseurs, there are the aspirational buyers,
right,
who really want to be there and be part of that group. But they're not able to be part of that group because they feel that if they don't have an Hermes Edge belt or they do not have a Birkin, they will not be accepted. But the thing is, the connoisseurs have actually moved on.
Right.
Because they've been there, done that. So it's always a whole trial or the effort being made by these aspirational buyers, and they get so addicted to it, they cannot do without it.
Now there's a lot of cannibalization of brands that we're seeing, a lot of celebrities launching their own brands, which is leaving the luxury market with just these many endorsement celebrities to work with. So is this impacting the endorsements for these brands as well, with this market getting cannibalized like this?
Not really. Not really. And especially India, there's room for everyone. Like, let's put it this way, like Victoria Beckham. Victoria Beckham used to be such a big consumer of all the international brands.
Right.
And she started her own line, which has been a great hit as well. And she still wears other brands. And I've heard that Sonam Kapoor is planning to launch her own line.
Right.
We've already
That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of cannibalization that we are witnessing in the market today. Is that working and auguring well for luxury market in India?
Well, I don't think it's a negative. I think it's to a certain extent a positive because it's giving more variety to the consumer.
Right.
And giving them a fair idea that why is the celebrity launching his or her own line? Because there is value attached to it. And it makes them, drives them to buy more and more luxury or high street brands. Like Salman Khan has a high street brand, which is Being Human, which is a charity organization, but everybody wants to have that t-shirt, including myself.
I want to know whether these brands are actually profit making in this country or not, because like we were discussing earlier, we're seeing in terms of the size of the store as well, we're seeing a conspicuous shrinkage rather than expansion. We are not seeing a Champs-Élysées or an Oxford Street or an Orchard Road today, which is a high street road in India as well. So that obviously brings me to a very important point, which is luxury is not really making money in this country. They're working on very thin profit margins.
Yes, they are investing into this country right now. And the problem is that they always compare India to China or to Dubai.
Right.
And India is not Dubai, because in India the consumption is by the locals, the people who live here, not the tourists. Whereas Dubai, 95% of consumption is from the tourists. And they are ready to spend, the Chinese and the Russians and everything. And China, they are way ahead. We have what? 2 Louis Vuitton stores, they have 26. So you can imagine the difference. All the brands, when they want to come into India, and we've spoken to them.
So what is the problem with India then?
Real estate. Real estate is a big issue. The price at DLF Emporio are same as Newborn Street. And we only have one DLF Emporio. All the brands want to come there.
It's a very interesting point. Yeah.
Especially on the ground floor. The space is very little. They all want a 400 square meter store. It cannot sustain it. The rentals cannot sustain.
You are saying shrinkage,
yeah,
isn't it?
Exactly. And they shrink. All the brands. Bottega shrunk. So did Boss. I think Armani is shrinking now. That's what I've heard. So I would rather say they should come small and grow big than coming big and going into small stores.
That's a better strategy?
Of course, of course.
Okay, from one strategy on to another. Let's continue with our game of golf on that note.
Okay.
So what is the scope of multi-brand outlets like The Collective in the country?
Well, Collective is owned by the Birlas, and but for the brands like Bloomingdale's and well, Selfridges and Harris really don't go out. Harvey Nicks and Sean's Galleries Lafayette. There's a little grey in the market in the whole policy, in the FDI. I don't think they're allowed to even, the international companies are allowed to invest more than 50%. So it again gives them a lot of confusion. They don't know whether they should enter, is it too soon or is it the right time, and whether the market is ready. But I think they are going to be coming in soon, and I think Bloomingdale's should be the first one.
Alright, so on that note, let's take a quick break right here on Tea Time with me, Chaiti Narula. We are in conversation with Mr. Manav Gangwani, who is the founder of Infinite Luxury, discussing the business of luxury in this country. More on that on the other side of this break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're still watching Tea Time with me, Chaiti Narula, and we are discussing the luxury market in much detail with my special guest today, who is Mr. Manav Gangwani, who is the director of Infinite Luxury. Manav, a little earlier we were discussing about bridge pricing strategies. We spoke about bridge to luxury being very conspicuous in this country today as well. Now, you are seeing with premium brands like Mercedes and BMW, they are launching other variants at the entry level to make their product in the same range of a Skoda or the likes of a Honda Accord. So there is obviously that bridge to luxury idea that they are working around to make that aspirational product a little more accessible to the masses as well. Now, are we seeing some trend like this in the ready-to-wear or the fashion segment as well?
Absolutely, yes, because let's put it this way, Armani, like
right.
We have Giorgio Armani here, we have Emporio Armani here, which is a second line.
Right.
Then even Armani jeans now. Similarly, like we plan to bring in Just Cavalli next year.
Oh, you are planning?
Yeah, which is going to be the second line. The only thing is it has to come at the right time so that there's no cannibalization of the same brand.
Correct.
Because they speak the same language,
right, but in an affordable price range. So the consumer should not get confused. So the right timing is the most important aspect. And because Giorgio Armani has been here for last 5 years, for them to bring in Armani jeans now, which is the third line, makes sense. So Manav, we've got our ear to the ground when it comes to you. We've heard that you're launching Emilio Bucci, which is from the LVMH umbrella, into India. Is that true? And when is that going to happen, if at all it does?
Well, we really haven't really spoken about it as yet.
But it's true.
I won't say it's a lie.
Okay. That works for us. That really works for us. So when is it? What's the timeline like? When are you launching it?
Well, sometime in March, April next year. But before that, we have Missoni, which is coming in January.
Right.
So every 3 months, we plan to bring in a new brand.
And going forward, which are the other brands which are aspirational for you, which you would like to see in this country?
Well, we are in discussions with many brands. One of my favorites is Dolce & Gabbana.
Yeah.
But let's see, very difficult company to work with.
Right.
There are many French brands which still have to make an entry into India. Then some American brands like Ralph Lauren is the most awaited brand. So I think the market is ready. It's just that the right location is the most important aspect.
With so many brands coming into the country, you even think high-end brands while at it. Do you think the concept of education and luxury is also kicking off? Do we have enough opportunities when it comes to MBAs in luxury management? And there is just so much out there when you go to Paris or Milan and you see specialized educational management degrees into luxury. How far is India from that to happen?
Well, you know, NIFT and Pearl Academy have actually started these real special retail courses where they train young aspirational kids to work in luxury segment, and which is quite a surprise to me because I never knew about it. And very recently they contacted us for internships and to hire them. So I think everybody knows that there's a need. I think these institutes are actually putting it in there, seeding it in them that it's a stepping stone towards becoming a CEO of a company.
True. Now the luxury market worldwide is pegged to hit about $6.8 billion going forward in the next 3 years. Where do you think India will stand to contribute to a figure like that?
Well, we will be there. We'll be there in a significant manner. Not as big as China.
Right.
But
why not as big as China?
The market is much more mature there. The thing is that in India, a lot of profit from all these brands are taken by the real estate companies. And whereas in China, because they have a huge piece of land, so the real estate is not that expensive compared to India. So it makes all the difference. In
terms of, you know, having high net worth individuals as well, India ranks 15th when it comes to HNIs. There is enough of a market here,
of course,
isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Absolutely. All the best on that note. Thank you so much, Mr. Manav Gangwani, for being on the show today. You are tuned into Tea Time with me, Chaiti Narula.